Kerry have been the surprise package of this year's championship, and they took on the Connacht champions Galway in the first of Saturday's games. Kerry have impressed in the qualifiers, and wins over Mayo and Armagh have given them some much-needed momentum. They started this game really well too. Captain Bernie Breen won possession from the throw-in and waltzed through the Galway defence before firing over the bar. Galway looked rusty in the opening exchanges, and their opponents were taking full advantage. Patrice Dennehy picked out Sarah Houlihan, and she popped this one over the bar. The Westerners were having to work hard for everything, with this point from Patricia Gleeson drew the sides level in the 12th minute. Well taken score and put Galway right back in it. Unfortunately though for Galway, they'd only score once more in this half. Louise Ní-Murchártaigh stole the show with a wonderful first half performance. She kicked 4 points to give her side an 8-3 lead at the break. Referee Joe Murray had a busy game, awarding 4 penalties in total. The first one came early in the second period when Dennehy was fouled in the area. Mags O'Donoghue made no mistake from the resulting kick to put 8 between the sides. Galway looked down and out, and they needed a response. They got it from Lorna Joyce. Una Carroll kicked 2 more frees to put 5 between them, and then a lifeline. Sinead Burke was hauled down inside the area, but Carroll, Galway's top scorer, missed the target. The Kingdom were taking all their chances at the other end. Emma Sherwood was upended on her way through. Another penalty and another excellent kick from O'Donoghue to leave 6 points between them. Points from Galway pair Gleeson and Mullins reduced the arrears to 4, and then they had another big chance to keep the game alive. Una Carroll was fouled while trying to lift the ball. Dora Gorman took over the kicking duties, and she made no mistake from the penalty spot. But it was all too little too late. Kerry held on for a 1-point win. Final score in Banagher: Kerry 2 goals and 9 points, Galway 1 goal and 11.
In some senses, I suppose, at the end we got out of jail, but we worked very hard in the first half in particular, and we were very happy at half-time with our performance. Second half, maybe not so much, but look, we came up here to win a match today, and we've done it, and we can work on the things that need to be worked on between now and the semi-final. We'll be looking forward to getting a couple of weeks rest in here.
Match fitness is everything, and we just had a long time waiting in Connacht for our Connacht final, and you know, it was hard to organise challenge games because we didn't know a date, and the clubs were going away playing football, and you just need matches, you know, and Kerry on the back of 3 matches, and it brings you right up to speed, you know.
Last year's beaten All-Ireland finalists Dublin went into this game against Clare as hot favourites. They looked sharp in the opening exchanges and took an early lead through Sinead Ahern, who did well to get around her marker and shoot over from a tight angle. Not many people were giving Clare much hope in this one, but they more than held their own. Emer Considine kept her side in touch with this well-taken point. The Banner were actually leading when Dublin won themselves a penalty. Orla Egan was adjudged to have been fouled in the box, but it looked a soft call. But Sinead Ahern didn't have to be asked twice. She kept her head and blasted the kick past Emma O'Driscoll. Despite this setback, Dublin just led by a point at the break thanks to Emer Considine. She took her tally to 1-2 with this cool finish. It was all to play for in the second half. A different Dublin emerged for the second half, and Colleen Barrett got them off to a great start. The passing and movement off the ball was much slicker, and the shooting wasn't bad either. This Gemma Fay effort was one of 5 unanswered points for the Dubs. Midway through the half, Dublin led by 7, and Clare needed something special to keep the game alive. They got it when Niamh O'Dea burst through their defence and poked the ball past Cliona O'Connor. The Dublin goalkeeper had to be at her best just 6 minutes later when sharpshooter Considine got a sight on goal. Great effort, but O'Connor did ever so well to deny Clare a certain goal. But the Leinster champions finished strongly, and Sinead Ahern effectively killed off the game with a goal of real quality. Great movement, and what about this for a finish? Brilliant. Well, the Dublin supporters certainly liked that strike. By now it was all over. It was one-way traffic. Clare looked dead and buried, and late points from Niamh Hurley and Amy McGuinness sealed an impressive win. By the time the final hooter sounded, Dublin ran out 6-point winners. It ended 2-18 to 2-12.
We made hard work of it, but fair play to Clare, they really put it up to us, and I suppose at the end of the day, you know, we'll take the win, you know, but we work very, very hard for it.
But in fairness to the girls, like, they died on their backs today. In fairness to them, they gave it everything. A few breaks. It'll be interesting to see about the penalty again. A couple of decisions, couple of chances we missed. It'll be interesting to see at the end of it. Dublin, in fairness to them, when they had their chances, they took them. But it'll be a lot of what ifs for us for the next couple of months while we think back on a great opportunity.
Yeah, it was a good opportunity. I watched that game last night. Well done to Dublin and Kerry for going through. We'll have the other two quarter-finals next weekend. But now we switch our attention to the All-Ireland football semi-finals next weekend. What a mouth-watering clash we have in store on Sunday. A resurgent Dublin side taking on last year's All-Ireland finalist Cork. It's their first championship clash in 15 years.
It's 3 against 1. This must be a goal. And Dublin eliminate Tyrone from the championship.
Fair old memories there. Well, Pat Spillane and Kevin McStay join us to look ahead to the game. Kevin, there were 4 great quarter-finals. Has that made this a great football championship, or is it a good championship anyway?
Well, it's contributed to it, for sure. Like, we're going to have new All-Ireland champions now in September, and that's, you know, what's rare, I suppose, to say, is wonderful. But there was also a lot of smaller spots going on in the provinces, like you had the Sligo story, and then Roscommon eclipsing them in the final. With Limerick down south, you know, nearly, almost, woulda, coulda, all the usual. And in Leinster, you had Louth, then, of course, the resurgent Dublin, which we'll talk about later on. I suppose the Ulster one, if we're to be truthful about it, was probably the poorer of the provincial. I can't think of any standout game this year. Indeed, you were saying also, Pat, last year wasn't particularly hectic.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, it's a very rare thing to say, but I mean, this year, without a doubt, the football championship has been a lot more enjoyable and entertaining than the hurling championship. And why has the football championship been so entertaining? I think for a start, the standard has levelled off and has evened out. The good teams certainly came back. The weak teams certainly improved. You had a lot of upsets in this year's championship, but you had a lot of high scores, but what was really I liked about the championship was the gung-ho approach by all the minnows in particular, because for years they've been slavishly adopting the blanket defences and negativity to stop the opposition from playing. And this year, teams just went out, set out their stall in a positive attacking way and tried to outscore the opposition.
Well, will next Sunday not have Dublin playing a defensive game?
Not really, no. What Dublin do, it's not... I mean, what we had in the last couple of years was sort of solid blankets where just people came back and parked themselves, where bad cornerbacks could look good. What Dublin are doing and what a lot of teams are doing is following the basic philosophy of football. When you have the ball, you're an attacker, and when you're without the ball, everyone becomes a defender. It's simple. It has never changed over the years, Des.
All right. Well, Kevin, you've been looking at Cork and their direct style of play. Yeah,
and also, to tease it out a wee bit, a few weeks ago, Des, we spoke about it, maybe in a slightly negative fashion, that, you know, they're having this marvellous sophistication or combination play. They don't tend to play a lot of width or wings. But, like, I was looking up last night their stats. They have massive forwards. The 6 forwards that will start probably next Sunday will range from 6'5" down to 6 foot. Pierce O'Neill at 6'5", obviously the tall, 16 stones weight. 13.5 is the lowest weight of the other 5 forwards, ranging up to 40. It's massive power, it's massive size, and there are 2 things we always say: you can't coach size. You either have it or you haven't. That's their strongest point, and that's the bit I want to have a look at. In terms of the straight line running and taking ball off the shoulder, like as I say, they're not so sophisticated throwing it around. You don't see big dummies or combination play out the field, but nice straight lines in their running. obviously Pearson Neal, because of his size, they try to involve him as much as they can, and he does tend to get on the end of it. But it's a massive weapon to have. It is their strongest point. Now, I slightly disagree with you, Pat, in terms of Dublin not being that defensive. I think Dublin will be dreadfully defensive. Like, they have really 5 forwards. David Henry will go back. Cork will play deeper. Brian Cullen will play deeper.
You mean very defensive as distinct from dreadfully defensive?
they will invite you on, try and get the turnover and the quick transition. That's Dublin's stall. They've set that out, and it will be perfectly suited to stop runners coming from deep, because it's a lot of traffic. And the problem for Cork now is to engineer a way through that, which is not going to be easy. It's going to take a lot of quick hands, quick delivery, and very close play on the shoulder. You know, whoever takes the first hit, turn and dumps it to someone coming on the shoulder. That is not going to be easy against Dublin.
In a packed area.
But that's one of the problems with Cork, is Cork had 166 hand passes against Roscommon, which was a new world record. So there's, you know,
beating Tonga.
Beating Tonga and Samoa on the sevens. But I mean, a lot of their attacking plies, come from slow laboured build-ups out of defence, which will play into the Dubs' hands, because the Dubs will have the bodies back.
Can I make one other very quick point? That if Dublin, you know, bring Henry back, they will. I know they will. Brian Cullen and Niall Corkery back. They now automatically have only 3 forwards up front to Cork's 5 or 6 defenders if they don't go to follow, and they probably won't. That will give them the opportunity now to double-team Bernard Brogan and triple-team him in certain circumstances, and he will be their key.
That's been happening all season.
Well, yeah, but these are quality Cork defenders now.
Tyrone's defence isn't bad.
I take your point.
It's a fair point.
Bernard is on fire. He's very hard to stop, but you know, if you're putting big pressure on outside, you know, he'll have a massive job of work on his own, and I think we'll be talking about that. Pat will be talking about that, but he has a big job of work, Bernard Brogan, to break it down on his own. He needs way more support.
Yeah. Okay. Dublin are a very different team, Pat. Where do you see how they've changed?
Well, Des, even you can recall maybe on the radio programme, even after they were beaten by Meath, I said that this Dublin team will be playing football in August. And there was qualities I saw, but even in the Meath game, and I would disregard the Meath game as being, I mean, there was 3 goals that were allowed that should have been disallowed. Right, what were the qualities that I've seen in this Dublin team this year that make them different from 08? They have a fantastic work rate, and we were talking about this, about the defensive work rate. When they lose the ball, the 3 fellas tackling here are the 3 half-forwards, and they're tackling around the middle of the field. So when they lose possession, they're all back in defence, they're getting bodies behind the ball, they're getting in on the player on the ball, and what they're brilliant at is that they're brilliant at dispossessing. They beat Tyrone at their own game. They out-Tyroned Tyrone. They put a pressure game on, and their tackling was absolutely fantastic. Their mental strength this year is very good, because Dublin were never renowned in their mental strength. This was against Dublin. 57 minutes, Dennis Bastick sent off, and instead of the heads dropping, they upped the pace, they upped the work rate, and for the next 50 minutes, they outscored Wexford something like 212 to 5 points. And thirdly, Bernard Brogan. Look, we talk about Mickey Hart as being a master craftsman, particularly at stopping the opposition. He didn't stop Bernard Brogan, who has been the best forward in this year's championship. And this guy, Owen O'Gara, he has brought what I think you call the X factor to this Dublin team. He's big, he's strong, he's a good ball winner, he runs direct. He's very unpredictable in the sense that he's very, very difficult to mark. Now, the thing about youth is youth brings innocence and naivety, but it also brings there's no mental baggage attached to these fellas. There's 7 young lads that have never played at this level of football, and what they're doing is they're playing without any fear. And you know what, if they really want a chance of beating Cork, if Dublin wore the Kerry jerseys, because you know when Cork see the sight of a Kerry jersey in Croke Park, they suffer meltdown.
It should be pointed out,
Dublin lads when they wear Kerry jerseys.
It should be pointed out, we talked about the defence, that in the last 4 games, Dublin have only conceded 1 goal. That was to tip in the match before that, 5 against Meath. So you can see, even statistically, our eyes tell us all this as well.
OK, you've weighted up both sides.
I'm staying with Cork. I went with them you know, before the championship started. They're obviously the league champions. Yeah. They must have noted on Monday that after the quarterfinals that they had a massive chance. I'd say training is savage down there. It has to be Cork for me.
Pat?
Cork are the best football team, but they were the poorest of the 4 quarter-final winners. If Cork can have a more direct approach, less hand-passing, and I think they have found the best 15. Cork are the best footballers, but they need to bring more urgency and more pace into their game and get their forward line, particularly their full forward line, working harder. I still fancy Cork.
All right, then. Well, it's one to look forward to, and it's live here on RT2 next Sunday. That's about it for now. My thanks to all of our guests tonight. You can join Pat and myself on Radio 1 at 6:30 tomorrow evening, and I'll be back with you next week at the same time. Have a good week, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.